Says I'm in. Good morning. This is Rob from Universal Windows. I'm not sure if anybody's on the line.
Yeah, we're here, Rob.
Okay.
We're still waiting for quorum. We've got to get through our preamble, kind of get the meeting started, roll call and everything, and then we'll be
Okay.
calling the first agenda
We
item
actually
after
had
that.
trouble. We had actually trouble downloading the app to get into the actual the live thing. So I'm actually on my phone, so
Okay,
I can't get into the app.
gotcha. There is a web-based version of it if that is helpful, but if you're on your phone, that's probably good. We'll have the slides and we can just try
Okay.
and click through them as you talk. But yeah, and I guess as we wait for the next few members of the committee to join so that we have quorum, since it is after 7:30 now, we'll go ahead and get through our preamble so that, I guess with the hopes that we have quorum by the time.
No, absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm
I
done
didn't know
with
if anybody was on. I just wanted to make sure.
Yep, yeah, no, we're all here. So yeah, this is the March 6th meeting of the Historic Ohio City Design Review Advisory Committee. To go over the virtual meeting regulations and procedures. Actions during the meeting will be taken by roll call vote. Recusal due to a conflict of interest should be stated for the record prior to the start of any presentation. The recused committee member will then leave the meeting for the duration of the case discussion. The chair will call the meeting to order and ask for a roll call of the committee. The administrator will introduce the first project. The meeting will then be turned over to the applicant to proceed through their presentation. Each presentation should be completed prior to questions and comments from the committee. Once the presentation is concluded, the administrator will provide background information and will read any received public comment when applicable. The committee will then begin deliberations and project review. Please use the raised hand feature if you'd like to speak. After deliberations and review concludes, the committee will render its recommendation and/or motion. The applicant may leave the meeting at any point after their project review is complete. All projects will follow the same format until all projects have been heard by the committee. Once all projects are heard, the chair will call for any committee/administrator reports. After all reports have been heard, the chair will adjourn the meeting. Regarding community comments, any and all community members may provide their written comments, thoughts, or questions regarding projects presented to the committee. Community members may also telephone their comments or questions to the committee administrator. All comments, thoughts, or questions must be submitted to the committee administrator no later than 48 hours prior to the start of the meeting. Public comment received after the deadline will not be heard by the committee. Public comment will be collected by Landmark staff and sent to the committee members for review prior to the scheduled meeting. Landmark staff will summarize the received comments. The applicant of the project is under no obligation to answer any community questions. Community members are invited to attend the Design Review Advisory Committee meetings, but there will be no open public comment period. As a reminder, all projects are being reviewed using the Secretary of the Interior's standards for rehabilitation and are being considered for the issuance of a certificate of appropriateness. All projects are considered on a case-by-case basis. Presentations were received and distributed to committee members for review prior to the scheduled meeting. Changes to the presentations after the confirmation of receipt by Landmark staff are not shown. The Historic Ohio City Design Review Advisory Committee makes recommendations to the Cleveland Landmarks Commission. These recommendations are not final actions. Depending on the scope of the project, submissions may be approved administratively or will need to be reviewed by the Cleveland Landmarks Commission. Projects will be scheduled at the next available commission meeting after an action is taken if that's the case. And here we have the Secretary of the Interior standards for rehabilitation, which I guess if there are any questions about them at any point, we can always go back to the slide for your presentations. So with that, Madam Chair, it does look like we have quorum. So if you want to call the meeting to order, I'm happy to do a roll call and we can call the first project.
Okay, great. Calling, today is Thursday, March 6th, calling our Historic Ohio City Design Review Advisory Committee meeting to order. Dan, please call the roll.
All right, Ms. Anderson?
Here.
Ms. Flaherty?
Here.
Mr. Frondorf? Ms. Land? Mr. Miller? Mr. Persons?
Here.
Mr. Talley?
Here.
Mr. Trevisano? Ms. Marinucci?
Here.
And Madam Chair, we do have quorum. Our first agenda item today is case HOC 25-08 at 2705 J Avenue for window replacements. So we've got Rob from the window company, and not sure if any of the other call-in users or other people calling in are with this project or not, but Rob will put your proposal up on the screen if you just want to kind of walk us through it, and I'll move through the slides since you can't see them.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Robert Ashurst. I am a sales consultant with Universal Windows Direct. We're a company based out of Cleveland. Our world headquarters is in Bedford Heights, and we are the third largest remodeler in the country. We've done many projects with you guys in the past, so we appreciate the opportunity to do another one. The homeowners, Arthur and Heidi Porkazitz, they reside at 2705 J Avenue in Cleveland. We actually did a full window project for them in proposal, 24 windows in total, 19 double hung and 5 slider type windows. They're looking to do the project in 2 phases. They want to do the downstairs, and then once the downstairs is complete, they'll actually do the upstairs. This project will happen pretty quickly, so it's not they're not going to be putting it off. They just want to be able to get the downstairs done first, have them get the work done, and then once that's completed, they'll move to the upstairs. In the slideshow, the first couple of slides, obviously the first couple of slides are just the contract information that we sent to you guys. Slide number 3 is basically a Google map showing the location of the home. So slide 3 and 4. Slide 5 is basically a Google map of the actual home. And then as we go through the slides, I took pictures of the individual windows as best as I could all around the house, so you guys can see what we're replacing. The original windows in the house are vinyl windows. They're vinyl in, vinyl out. We're actually looking to do the same vinyl window. On the inside of the window, on the inside of the home, the client is using a wood laminate that will be actually applied to the laminate or to the vinyl to give them that wood look. And they've actually done 2 patio doors from us in the past that have that same construction in their home. So I'm not sure if the commission wasn't their house wasn't in the landmark commission at that time. But I know when we did that, we didn't have to go through, we just got the permit and we're able to do that. On the outside of the windows, obviously we're not going to be changing anything on the outside look of the home. The only thing that we will be doing is recapping that original trim work that you guys have. So not changing it, just recapping it, putting a coat of trim coil around those to make it look fresh and new. But the design of it is not going to change. Here, I also sent the U factors of our windows. Obviously, we produce a very high quality window. We offer a full lifetime guarantee on all aspects of the window, including seal failure, which at the moment right now, the windows in the client's home, most of them are failing, where they're actually letting in drafts. They're noticing a little bit of fog within the windows between the 2 panes of glass, which happens with mold, which happens with seal loss. And then at the end of the day, as it continues, the possibility of mold growth within those windows could cause significant issues for the homeowner. I actually put what the window we're actually proposing. It's our Unishield Plus window, foam insulated frames, double pane. We fill the glass up with 98% argon gas to keep the efficiency of the windows. We also use what's called a super spacer to make sure that seal is protected and will never fail. And again, if it happens to fail, the window is fully replaceable for the client under our full lifetime warranty at no additional cost to them. And I actually put a copy of the warranty in there for you guys to be able to look at. And then also the argon sealing, the glass package, insulated glass package, what the industry standard is, and actually what we do with our windows. And then I actually put the proposal, again, there's 24 windows total in the home, 19 double hung 5 sliders. The proposal is to do all the windows, but we're going to do it in 2 phases for the clients, so they don't have, people in their house they want to be able to get the downstairs done, get that cleaned up, ready to go, and then immediately start the upstairs. So this project will be complete within a constrained time frame. Let's see here. Anything else in here that I need to kind of go over? And then I tried to take pictures of the interior windows just so you guys can see. Again, we're not going to be doing anything on the interior of the home, not touching any of the trim. The windows and the window frames existing will be pulled out. We'll put the new window frames in. All the existing wood trim and everything on the inside of the home will remain consistent with what you see today. So that's basically what we're trying to accomplish, and look forward to working with you guys to make sure we keep this as a historical landmark for Cleveland.
Thank you, Dan. Or to the applicant, did you work with the office, the landmark staff for this proposal?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, like,
Well-
did you guys give feedback to them prior to coming to this meeting?
Yeah, when we received the permit application, that's how this one came through just the permit process. We sent them our window policy, with the explanation that if they were to follow the guidelines in it, then we could handle it administratively. Otherwise, it would have to go before the committee and through the design review process. And I guess before the committee gets into it, I just had a couple questions of clarification I just wanted to ask so I understand the proposal fully. Sliders are replacing sliders where there are currently sliders, right? You're not adding any new sliders where there are standard double hung windows, correct?
Yes, sir. We're changing likes per like. So if there's a slider in that space, we're actually changing it. We're putting a slider in there. If it was a double hung, we're putting a double hung.
Okay, and then the color you're proposing for the vinyl?
So it'll be white on the outside, and then it will be, like I said, it's a white vinyl on the inside, but based on the patio doors that the client put in their homes previously, they're putting a wood grain laminate on, like, that we apply to the vinyl to give them that wood look, like their patio doors were done a few years ago.
Understood. And currently the existing vinyl window replacements are like a dark brown, correct?
Correct. They're dark brown on the inside and outside, but as I walked around the neighborhood, houses that are very close to them, it looks like windows have been replaced, and the majority of the windows are white on the outside in the houses near them.
And then I guess the only other clarification I had, you mentioned wrapping the trim. You're talking about wrapping this detailed trim here in brake metal?
So just the original framework that's on there, like when we put our window on, the frame that would go around our window, we would wrap. All that existing trim work that you guys have will stay exactly the same.
Okay, so like those, like on the front elevation of the house especially, there's kind of a trim that steps out. There's some play to it. It's got a nice profile. Correct. Will that get wrapped? Correct. Or are you just wrapping? So that will stay the same as it looks today. You're just wrapping basically the window framing inside that
correct.
Trim framing. Okay, understood. Thank you.
Correct.
Madam Chair, that's all I have.
Thanks, Dan. I had the same question about the trim coil reference, so I appreciate you asking it. Is the homeowner on the call?
They were actually on a trip to Florida.
Yes.
They were going to try. Oh, okay, there they are.
Hello.
Okay, great. Okay,
This is Arthur Corcos.
Hi, thank you. I just wanted to see if you guys were on the call to also hear any feedback firsthand. This committee is typically we don't approve vinyl windows universally. It's often a case where we may approve vinyl on non-primary facades, but would require a more historically appropriate material for the primary facades. In this case, the front, and I'm not sure if this is any side, if this is a corner unit or corner lot, but that's what we would be most typically, that's what we would most typically approve. I would recommend not using a white vinyl. I would say that the even if other houses nearby have white vinyl or white in general, typically we would want to see a darker color or the darkest color of the house being that sash color. I don't know if that's an option for you to consider. And is it my understanding correct that you guys only offer vinyl products and you don't offer alternative products?
What do
Or
you
am
mean
I
by alternative products, like wood?
aluminum clad wood or fiberglass
Alum
specific?
we only offer the vinyl. And again, when I'm looking at this house originally, that's what's in the house right now. So,
So
you know,
everything in the
historically,
house
if we're trying to keep, yeah, the house has
so
vinyl
currently
windows
the
in it
house
right
has
now.
vinyl windows. Okay, can you go to the existing photos again, Dan? Do you know like how long these windows? I don't know how long the homeowner has lived here. If they could provide any history.
I think Art can probably
This is
answer. I'm not.
this is this is Arthur Corcos. I am the owner. I've lived there since 1999. My understanding is that the windows were replaced as much of the rehabilitation of the house was done within about 5 years prior to my moving in.
Okay, thank you. Is a color other than white an option from what you've
Yes,
said?
on the
Okay,
outside, yes, yes.
okay. Um, I'll open up to comments from my colleagues. I think if they're, I guess, if it's all existing vinyl, maybe that broadens the conversation, but I want to hear what my colleagues think too.
Yeah, exactly what you said. Typically, we're not in the habit of approving vinyl, but since this is replacing in kind, like it's already, then I'm fine with it. Just kind of reiterate, not white vinyl. I feel like that typically ends up being the cheapest option. Um, so yeah, a dark brown, a dark bronze or something. I know that I found that when shopping around, dark bronze ends up being a little less expensive than just straight up, say, black or brown. So yeah, that's my recommendations. I'd look at a dark bronze for the outside.
Mhm.
I just have a question on screens. Are these front windows currently, do they have bug screens on them? It kind of looks like it, but I can't quite tell. And then are you planning to put those screens on all the windows on all sides?
So the screens will be coming with the windows. So they are. Let me pull up a picture. So right now, when I look at the windows, they were basically single hung windows. So they basically had the full screen in there. We actually have it as we have a half screen that slides up that goes on each sash, depending on what side of the window or what sash they open, either the bottom or the top. But we do have the ability to put a full screen that would match exactly what's there right now. It seems like overkill because they're never going to have both windows open at the same time, but I understand if you're looking for that same look, we do have the ability to put a full screen on there.
Yeah, and just sorry if I missed it, but these are all double hung, other than the sliders,
Correct.
obviously.
So they're all double hung, except we went from single hung to double hung just for the efficiency purposes.
Okay. I mean, my personal position on this is, yeah, like for like, would be the final's fine, but agreed on the darker color requirement, recommendation for the requirement on the outside, and then full height screens as well.
Okay.
Any other committee members want to chime in? And if not, make a motion.
I don't have
Um,
much to add. I am in agreement though to use a color other than white for the vinyl.
Dan, would the applicants need to go see landmarks? Or is this something that you would take our recommendations and handle internally? Goes Dan.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry. I was just having my computer hits a point every day and it gets real laggy. Yeah, I think if you guys were fine with it, with no real conditions, or if there's a condition on color and the applicant was willing to and make that condition, I think since it's existing condition replacing existing condition, I think I'd probably just handle it administratively based on your feedback, assuming it was unanimous and there wasn't any larger discussion. I just did want to note, I looked up, I guess, the property history as far as permits go, and it looks like there were a lot of permits pulled for this property in 1994 when the major remodel, like rehab of this building took place. I'm assuming the windows were done there, but the permit record doesn't have that level of detail. But we're looking at roughly 30-year-old windows at this point. So
Yeah, that seems reasonable to me. Then did we have any cut sheet on the profile of the vinyl window that you can go back to?
So
Or like
I
that
actually, I mean, I did send, and I can get you a better cutout picture, but there is one in the presentation that kind of, let's see, in the presentation, can be page.
yeah, I'm trying to find it here in the presentation. Again, my
5,
apologize,
6,
my computer's
7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So page 14 of the presentation. As I mentioned, it's a Unishield Plus double pane, foam filled insulated for the frame, and it's not hollow core, so there's going to be foam filled insulation in those hollow core points of the window, as well as under the seal. Then obviously we use our super spacer technology, which most windows use a metal spacer, and that's again based on how long a window lasts. Typically a metal spacer will last anywhere from 8 to 12 years, and then the window starts to fail, the argon gas starts to leak out, and then the efficiency is lost. We use the super spacer technology that we put in, and then we pump the window up with 98.9% argon. And if you look at some of the presentations, our argon after 20 years is still well over 95%, based on the research and the studies that are done on our windows.
What's your sight line of the mullions? I think that's kind of one of the concerns.
What's that?
That's what I was wanting to know, was what that kind of like the physical profile of the window aesthetically is going to look like head on.
Sure. I don't have like something I can actually get something.
Do you have a ballpark?
I have. What do you mean? Like
is it an inch and a half wide that you're going to see on the mullions? Is it 2.5?
Oh, okay. So it's 1.75 inches that you'll see, and that's typically what our window, depending on what the frame, like it all depends on what the frame of the interior is, but based on what they have, it looked like it was 2x6 walls. So that mullion will come out about 1.75 inches, which is typical.
And is that what's there currently?
Yes, actually, I think it's a little bit bigger than that, but it's within that range. It might be like 1 3/8 inches. but we're right. As I was measuring these windows and doing the proposal, I was making sure that everything kind of matched up pretty close to what they were actually already getting.
I'll go ahead and do a motion. I move to recommend approval with the condition to provide a darker exterior color to the mullions and a full height screen at each double hung location.
Second.
All right. Seeing no other hands raised, please, as the chair, we'll go along with the roll call. Ms. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Flaherty,
Yes.
Mr. Persons,
Yes.
Mr. Talley,
Yes.
and Ms. Marinucci.
Yes.
Madam Chair, the motion passes unanimously. Rob, you can work with Landmark staff. I guess, you'll have to revise your proposal to include those full light screens and then select an alternate color. Happy to talk offline with you about different color options.
And your color option, what you guys are recommending, is like a dark brown or a dark bronze color. Is that what you're recommending?
Yes.
That's
For the outside.
Yeah, that's what it sounded like would be the
Okay.
preference. So
I think
but
that
yeah, I
if,
mean,
Okay.
if the homeowner reviews and they have a preference for, like a beige or lighter brown, I would trust Landmark's staff to be able to navigate you on what's appropriate.
Okay. Perfect.
yeah.
And what do
that's
I
one of
need
those
to do once I submit? Do I need to submit a new proposal with those options on behalf of the client to the Landmarks Commission, like the same place I sent the original presentation?
Yeah, you can send that through Jessica, but then ultimately if you have a permit pending in Acela, you'll need to update the revised scope of work, like revised plan to
Okay.
Acela to accompany your permit. But for now, let's
Okay.
just back and forth through Jessica to finalize the details, and then when we're all on the same page, you can upload that to Acela and we'll sign off.
Okay. Perfect. All right. Well, again, thank you for your time. We really do appreciate it. And if there's anything else you need from us, please don't hesitate to give us a call.
All right, we'll do. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Now to move on to our next agenda item. It's case HOC 25-09 at 2421 Lorraine Avenue in the Market Square Historic District. It's SWTHZ signage proposal. We have Rebecca Green here to walk us through a proposal. Rebecca, if you just want to let me know when you'd like me to switch slides, I'm happy to do so.
Great, thank you. So it's SWTHZ is for Sweat House. It is a fitness studio. So if we could just go through this, that'd be great. Go ahead and page through. This is for a sign that's located. These are just area maps to orient you. This is the new intro building, so you can continue. And again, a little farther, just give you a feel for the location. Do you want to go ahead and move on? So this is the letters. These are acrylic white letters, internally illuminated, sitting on top of a bar. So these sit on top of this black bar that have the contrast therapy studio underneath it. And can you continue? Can we take maybe you can see it a little better, or maybe you can, yeah, here we are. You can see that this black bar is anchored to the mullions on the windows on this commercial space. And then again, the white letters sit on top of that bar. The sign itself is 40 inches in height and 120 inches in width. So it is appropriate for the space. This particular drawing just shows the installation plan. And again, you're looking at it's being attached to these mullions. You want to move forward? So this is the area in which it is located. These are signs that are similar, or in the location where this is. Across the street is the market. And then other businesses in the area. This is on the north elevation, and the red box indicates the location. If you could continue. The location is where it says available space. That is, and it sits next to the Etta Coffee Roasters store, which has a very similar sign. If you want to continue. And this is just what it will look like. This is basically the end of my presentation. I'm happy to take any questions about it.
Thank you. I don't think I have any comments or questions. So anyone else?
You're going through the gasketing of the verticals of the SSG curtain wall, correct? With the mounting clips?
That is an excellent question. I may not have all the answers for. It is being attached, like I said, it's being attached to these, the black struts or mullions on the window itself. And I'm sure that, I'm actually not exactly sure how it's being
Okay.
attached.
Yeah, I guess the only comment or requirement I would recommend that we provide is that any silicone be replaced in a color to match, just in the off chance that somebody provides clear, a very visible demarcation at that penetration.
And so the recommendation that you're talking about is to have the silicone a specific color?
So assuming that my understanding is correct, that the mounting is going to have to come through the glass back to the mullion, and there's going to be a kind of surgical cuts made to that silicone gasketing. They're actually going to have to get back to the mullion behind the glass. They're going to have to replace some of that silicone that you see between the glass, just making sure that what they put back there is of the same color as the original silicone used.
I got it. I will make sure that is located.
Madam Chair, I
Thank
just
you.
wanted to also point out that it doesn't appear, based on our feedback from zoning, that this will require any variances. So it seems to be within code. I think it's just from a signage legibility perspective. I was curious if there were any concerns about the visibility of this on like a bright day. I know the building's kind of largely reflective, but will the white fade into it too much? Would a black trim cap perhaps help give it a slight outline to just give it a little more definition, or is that mess with the look too much as far as kind of the clean, crisp white letters?
What is the width of each letter, each stroke?
I do not know that I have that information. I
Looks
can
like
make a
about
quick.
Maybe an inch.
20. Oh, it's 3.5. It's probably closer to 2 inches, I would guess.
The width of individual letter? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, the actual, call it the stroke of the white. Yeah, I
Oh,
mean,
the
it looks,
stroke.
yeah, it
Yeah.
looks usually large enough to me that I don't see an issue with it, but it's just my personal reaction.
It looks pretty comparable to the Etta signage, right?
Yeah,
Very
yeah.
similar.
Yeah, it seems pretty consistent. I feel like you can, while you would expect to not be able to see it very well on that facade, I feel like I don't ever have an issue seeing things like the Etta
Because it's,
signage. Yeah,
it's so highly reflective.
yeah, I feel like in real life it's fine.
I mean, it is somewhat dimensional, so I think it does. It
Mhm.
is easily seen. And I don't think it needs to be any larger, frankly, on that surface. Because the goal here was to provide a very, sleek, modern look that was not obtrusive to the environment. I mean, that wall looks lovely because it is highly reflective. We wouldn't want to provide too much contrast there. The illumination will be put on a photo cell, so we are so that it will be adjustable with ambient light.
Gonna just make a motion to approve with the condition that any silicone that needs replaced be replaced in kind, same color.
All right, seeing no other hands raised or hearing no other comments. Ms. Anderson,
Yes.
Ms. Flaherty, sorry, Ms. Flaherty, I didn't hear you, Mara.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Persons,
Yes.
Mr. Talley,
Yes.
and Ms. Marinucci.
Yes.
All right, motion passes unanimously.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll be in touch with you.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks again.
Yep. So that, Madam Chair, concludes what we have on our formal agenda. Since this was kind of a shorter agenda, Jessica and I wanted to take the opportunity to, I guess, for me to stop sharing my computer screen since it's so slow. Jessica will take it over. Hopefully hers moves a little faster. We just wanted to go over some of the policies and guidelines that we passed last year, as like the commission passed last year, to kind of make sure everybody understood them, see if you guys had any questions, just kind of trying to do like an annual overview for all the committees on, any changes, how we handle different things, see if there are any questions that have come up, and kind of discuss those. So with that, I will hand things over to Jessica if it pleases the chair.
Hi, everybody. So the Landmarks Commission passed 3 policies or guidelines last year, and so I've been using them when it's needed for the various projects. And so a little kind of overview, just so you've got an idea. Generally, I try to send these with the kind of meeting announcement when there are projects that include that. I've been trying to do that. I haven't caught all of them, but we do also send these guidelines out to applicants when they do apply for a permit or apply for a project that impact, roofing, windows, or solar panels. And that way they know that at the onset before they even start the design review process that they've been sent this information. So I'll start with solar panels. The solar panel guidelines do align with the National Park Service guidelines and the standards that include solar panels. And we want to have solar panels, so we support that sustainability that solar panels bring, but we want to make sure that they are appropriate for the historic districts. And so for this particular guidelines, we have it outlined of the different materials. It should be dark and not draw attention to themselves as a non-historic element. And then the location of the solar panels is important, that it is minimized as much as possible from the public right of way and not installed on roofs that are architecturally significant, not on street-facing facades. And if they are to be included on like the rear face of a cross cable in a solid pattern without missing panels, And you know, if there's not cross gables, then set back from the front of the home percentage, and then if they're on a flat roof, then not visible above the parapet wall. And so this is really to provide a faster process for solar panel projects. And so that way, when an applicant, which is generally a solar panel company, comes in, we can provide this and then say, okay, you know, if the panels are located here on this property, we can streamline this a little bit more and have the permit not go through the design review process, instead be approved by administratively by Landmark staff. And it is pretty much a written down way of doing, explaining how we have been taking solar panel projects in the past, but just having it clarified for our applicants and for our homeowners that, you know, we do want to see those, and they are on a case-by-case basis when they do come in and they don't adhere to what the guidelines are. Those would go through design review and either go to the to you guys as the local committee, or and then be approved at that point, or go on to the Landmarks Commission as well, depending on the you know, scope of the project, the result of the committee meeting, and if there, you know, are other factors involved with that. We did send these out Monday morning, I think, but if anybody has any questions about the solar panels, let me know. Otherwise, I'll bump to the next one. Yeah, we haven't had to go through, I don't think we've had a solar panel project in the Ohio City area since this was passed. Or, I mean, not one that would flag the policies. We haven't really had to use this yet. But we have had it used in some of our other neighborhoods. So on to the roofing one, which is similar to the solar panels in that it's pretty much just a written down version of what we've already been practicing to make it clear for applicants and for owners. And this is a little more educational. It goes into the different roof features, materials, the lifespan of the variety of roof materials that we see: asphalt shingles, slate, clay or concrete tile, wood shaker shingles, metal, and flat. And so we tried to incorporate the most commonly found, or just what we see in Cleveland. And then we also outlined recommended practices like maintenance, repair, and if there are changes to be made, that it is documented, or, you know, replaced as much as possible, or, you know, improved if needed. And then like mechanical systems, skylights, stair, elevator towers, decks shouldn't be highly visible or damage or obscure character defining features on a home. And we kind of have the application review process outlined with, if the roof is going to be replaced with the same shingles that they have, with the exception of 3-tab, which we don't approve regardless, or upgraded materials in similar color, size, shape, then we can review that administratively. We also ask for information about venting, flashing, gutters, any changes on the roof structure itself. If they are replacing an original slate roof, then if it is slate, a synthetic slate, or a comparative slate appearing architectural asphalt shingle, we can review those administratively by staff. If they are proposing to replace a slate roof with a regular architectural shingle, that usually goes to the committee for review, because it's not one of the, you know, slate appearing architectural asphalt shingles. If they're replacing tile, wood, shingle roofs, anything like their shake roofs, with asphalt shingles or others, that would go through a design review process, and that we currently don't have a mechanism to administratively approve metal roofs of any kind. And so if that, for residential properties, we'll clarify that. And so this could change in the future if technology changes, if the materials that are available changes. But for right now, any metal roof installation will go through the design review process for any approvals. That's the roofing one. So the windows one is a little bit more in depth, where we have a little bit more of education on how you can repair windows and where those resources can be found. And so it goes into the different types of windows that we see throughout the city, different types of materials, which the typical wood, aluminum, vinyl, and then composite options or fiberglass as well. And kind of education when they were popular, how you like, what's the difference between them, the lifespan of those windows, because it varies window to window, and kind of acknowledging that there's a variety of lifespans for even just vinyl windows on their own, especially the different companies that are out there. And then also kind of going into skylights, glass block or brick windows, and decorative windows. And one of the kind of key features is any decorative windows like stained glass or leaded glass, we don't recommend the replacement or removal of those on any side of the home. And so that's kind of a different one where we can generally be more lax on the sides and rear of a property for windows, except for decorative windows and the change of those. We do outline the window features in different parts of a window because there's a multitude of different names that companies use for the grids or grills or muttons, and kind of explaining that all the parts of a window are very important to the full appearance of that window, and how they should be kept the same. And also kind of going to window screens, because there's legally they have to be included on a home to some extent. And so kind of a little bit there, as well as the weatherproofing and energy efficiency options that are out there. We do have window companies that are very confident in their materials, and they're confident in the fact that they can convince people that their windows are the best, and that there's no way to make an old window energy efficient, which we disagree with. And so there's the different options for energy efficiency and repairing of original windows, with a note for lead paint, because that is something that is a concern for many homes, especially older homes. And our kind of thought is that just the existence of lead paint is not a reason to replace original windows, but it could be part of that discussion, but it's not the only reason that's out there. And if someone comes that it has lead paint, there's other alternatives out there for that, as well as some resources that are there for repair that we couldn't really include here. For replacement, we would like to see repair first, but if repair is not available, then replacement options like original window opening should not be eliminated or altered. The dimensions profile should be matched for the glass and sash. The framing should be replicated and retained as much as possible. The style should be matched, or an acceptable option provided to replicate the appearance of the original window style. And divided light sashes and muttons should be matched in configuration, appearance, and depth. The exterior of the window, and these are fairly detailed, because we do have a lot of applicants that come in and say we're replacing like for like, which is a completely different definition than what they have. Is it's a window to a window, whereas for us it would be completely different. Of the details must match. So we had to make sure we clarified or went as detailed as possible on this, and then kind of outlining that application process, where it does state that if there are changes to style, material, removing or adding muttons, mullions, or grids, changing the type of window, or adding or removing windows may require approval through the design review process. And so if it's a window that is matching the same or with a higher quality material, that'll have the same appearance, function, and all of that, that's something we can do administratively, but otherwise not. And then we do state standard vinyl and vinyl clad windows are not typically considered appropriate replacement materials, just to kind of have that, and that we do have leeway for vinyl and vinyl clad materials on the non-primary elevations of homes. And that condos recommended to have a master plan. We don't really focus on commercial buildings because the Cleveland Storefront Renovation Program Design Manual has a lot of detail specific to commercial buildings, and so we didn't feel that needed to be included here as well. But yes, those are our policies in a nutshell that we have. We're working on others in hopes of getting those forward in the next year or so. And yeah, any questions? If not, that's cool. What I also included in there was the list of landmarks that are located within the Historic Ohio City Design Review Advisory Committee, because we did expand our regions a bit. We don't have our regions currently on GIS, but we are hoping to get that resolved shortly. We do have, if the link worked, which I never know if it's going to work or not. Not that one. I wanted to share this one. Okay, hopefully you can see Google Earth thing where it is color coded. It has the different regions color coded with all the different landmarks and districts within those areas. So you can see the kind of way we propped the city up a little bit and expanded our areas beyond just the historic districts to include individual landmarks within those different areas. And Ohio City, Historic Ohio City is in purple, dark purple. Okay, so we've had a lot of success with these regions and kind of expansion of our design review advisory committees and what they're seeing, as well as success with making it a little more streamlined with our applicants coming through, so they're not jumping from city planning design review to landmarks commission and vice versa. And that's our little mini training. Dan and I are available if you've got any questions.
Thank you, Jessica. Yes, I guess, does anyone have any questions? You're going easy on us. All right, I'll take it. I'll take it.
Well, I guess just one question. I don't think I've only been on this committee for, I think this is year 2 or 3. I don't think we've had an individual landmark come up yet since I've been on the committee. How often is that happening?
So it depends kind of on your I guess, which
I guess
committee it is.
within the context of this one,
yeah. Most of the individually designated landmarks in your region are within a historic district. An example of one that's not would be the West 29th Trinity Lutheran. I think that's outside the district, like the Lorraine Avenue Commercial District, but it's an individually designated landmark. So yeah, you can see it right there. But yeah, St. Ignatius right across the street. It's an individual landmark, but it's also in the district. Some of the other regions, they might have a couple small districts in them, and then a bunch of individually designated. Like if you look at the yellow there, or the blue, or the purple, or green, any of them really, aside from you guys.
They're mostly outside. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And that's why since the Ohio City, Lorraine Avenue, and Market Square district altogether comprise such a large mass, a large number of properties, and majority of the neighborhood. That's kind of why your region geographically is the smallest, but it still ends up having probably more parcels included than any of the other ones, and fewer individually designated landmarks, because the districts just cover, half of the buildable environment of your region.
Right. Okay. Just curious. Thanks.
Yeah, sure. Good question, though. Yeah, and I guess the only other thing I wanted to reinforce just with the policies that Jessica went over is, we're hoping, and so far we found that the guidelines that are included in them are helpful for applicants. When someone, a lot of times you say, well, what's landmarks going to make me do? Or, tell us what you want me to do. It's easier just to give them this policy and say, like, here's what would be approvable. And they really just, they don't tell you what you have to do. They tell you what you can do to avoid having to go through the design review process. So it offers a path to a kind of expedited review, to an administrative shortcut, as it were, as opposed to having to go through our whole process. So, yeah.
Where is the city with implementing an enforcement wing to the Landmarks Commission's appropriateness stamp?
So in talks with the Director of Building and Housing, I had a meeting with her earlier this week, and she confirmed that they are assigning one inspector to be kind of specific to the landmarks district. So they, a person would hopefully be our enforcement arm since we can't do it ourselves.
Right.
So I don't know that their work hasn't officially started, but a person has been identified, so we're going to start working with them to kind of get them up to speed. So hopefully soon. I don't know, in city terms, hopefully by summer. But yeah, we're working on it and share all the frustrations when we see something happening that we know shouldn't be. And come on. But yeah, I think they just give us a bunch more staff. We can do enforcement ourselves and change our ordinance to give us authority and all that stuff.
If only.
Yeah.
Dan, related, we did not see that demolition proposal come today, or is that
All right.
something we can still expect, or is it something that is are working out?
TBD.
Okay.
I've had a number of meetings and have some more scheduled, trying to just get some clarification from the law department, trying to essentially nip it in the bud and trying to just get some explanation and set some expectations. So I guess my hope is that it doesn't end up having to be put on an agenda, but we will deal with that when the time comes, I guess, if it does. So it's still floating out there, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
they
you.
haven't reached out to get back on an agenda because they were planned and then removed it. So it's falls in their court to get back onto an agenda.
Okay.
Yeah, unless anyone else has anything else, Nia, whenever you want to adjourn.
Okay, we can call today's Thursday, March 6th, Historic Ohio City Design Review Advisory Committee meeting adjourned.
Thank you all very much.
Thank
Bye.
you. See y'all.
All right, see you guys.